The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is synonymous with outlaw culture. Originating in the United States in 1948, the organization quickly spread across the globe, becoming the most notorious biker gang in the world. However, as the club expanded its influence, the nature of its leadership also evolved. This documentary delves into the life of one of its most brutal and enigmatic leaders, Nakati Arabachi. From his early years in Cologne, Germany, to his rise as a key figure in the European underworld, Arabachi's story is a dark saga of crime, violence, and evasion from law enforcement. The birth of a crime lord. Born on February 14, 1972, in Cologne, Germany, Nakati Arabachi, also known as Niko, was the child of Turkish immigrants. His parents hailed from Konya, a city in central Turkey, a place far removed from the urban sprawl and criminal underworld that would eventually define their son's life. The Arabachi family settled in Cologne, a city that would become the backdrop for Niko's descent into the world of organized crime. Niko's early years were marked by a struggle for identity. Growing up as part of an immigrant community in Germany, he faced the challenges of cultural assimilation and social alienation. This duality of belonging neither fully to German nor Turkish culture would shape his worldview, making him a fierce, often ruthless individual who sought power and respect through any means necessary. The Hells Angels and the rise to power. The Hells Angels, with their iconic winged skull logo and infamous reputation, became a symbol of rebellion and fear. For Niko, the club represented an opportunity, a way to climb the social ladder and gain the respect he craved. By the 1990s, the Hells Angels had already established a significant presence in Germany, particularly in the red light districts of major cities like Cologne. Niko began his ascent through the ranks by aligning himself with the criminal elements that controlled these districts. The 1990s were a period of expansion and consolidation for the Hells Angels in Germany, and Niko was at the forefront of this movement. He leveraged his Turkish heritage and connections within immigrant communities to build a network of enforcers and associates who would carry out his bidding. His influence grew as he became involved in the management of several brothels, including the infamous Babylon brothel in Elsdorf near Cologne and others in Leverkusen and Mallorca. These establishments were more than just places of illicit activity, they were power bases from which Niko could exert control over the city's criminal underworld. Disguised as a fruit dealer, he operated behind the scenes, pulling the strings of a vast criminal enterprise. The Red Light District. By the late 1990s, Niko Arabachi had become the undisputed leader of Cologne's Red Light District. His control over the area was near absolute, with the most powerful group of pimps in the city answering to him. He collected money through frontmen, who ensured that the various brothels and clubs under his influence paid their dues. His reach extended beyond Cologne, influencing the criminal activities in cities like Frankfurt and the Ruhr area. However, such power inevitably attracted enemies. The Red Light District was a volatile environment, with rival gangs and criminal organizations constantly vying for control. Niko's dominance did not go unchallenged. He faced threats from both within the Hells Angels and from other criminal groups who sought to undermine his authority. The fall. Niko's reign in Cologne came to an abrupt halt in 2002. After years of building his empire, he was arrested by a police task force led by the investigating chief prosecutor Jürgen Wobson. The charges against him were severe. Leading a criminal organization, armed robbery, pimping, and severe human trafficking. The subsequent trial was a high-profile event, drawing significant media attention and public interest. On September 30, 2004, Niko was sentenced to 9 years in prison, a sentence he served in the Balkan Correctional Facility. However, even behind bars, Niko's influence remained potent. Reports suggest that he continued to orchestrate criminal activities from within the prison walls, including a plot to assassinate prosecutor Wobson. The plan involved hiring an Albanian contract killer from Duisburg, but it was foiled when the police bugged his visiting room. The case against Niko took an unexpected turn when a mistranslation of transcripts led to his acquittal on certain charges. This procedural error allowed him to avoid indefinite imprisonment, a development that frustrated law enforcement and prosecutors who had worked tirelessly to bring him to justice. Deportation and exile. In 2007, after serving only a third of his sentence, Niko Arabachi was deported to Turkey. The deportation was conditioned on the requirement that he could never return to Germany, a stipulation that was meant to curb his influence in the country. However, this move may have inadvertently strengthened his position within the Hells Angels. Turkey, with its strategic location between Europe and Asia, provided Niko with a new base of operations. From Izmir, he began to reassert his control over the Hells Angels operations in Europe. By 2010, he was considered the president of the Hells Angels MC Nomads Turkey, a position that granted him significant authority within the organization. Niko's exile did little to diminish his power. In fact, it may have expanded his influence as he used the Hells Angels structures to continue organizing crime from Turkey into Germany. His network extended across Europe, with reports suggesting that he was involved in the global drug trade, particularly the trafficking of heroin from South America. A new power struggle. By 2013, Niko's name was once again making headlines. Investigators believed that he had been considered as the new Europe chief of the Hells Angels, following the arrest of Frank Hannebuth, a prominent figure within the organization. Hannebuth's arrest left a power vacuum within the Hells Angels' European operations, and Niko was seen as a likely candidate to fill this void. However, Niko's return to prominence was not without controversy. Reports emerged that he was frequently entering Germany using forged documents, defying the conditions of his deportation. The so-called Arabachi clan, which had controlled the bouncer scene of nightclubs in Cologne's entertainment district, was said to be expanding its operations under his leadership. The rivalry within the Hells Angels also intensified during this period. The club was increasingly at odds with other motorcycle gangs, particularly the Sachadera MC, a Dutch-based organization with a strong presence in Germany. This tension led to a violent power struggle, with Niko allegedly ordering attacks on rival factions, arrests and legal battles. Despite his efforts to evade capture, Niko's criminal activities continued to attract the attention of law enforcement across Europe. In 2015, Spanish authorities issued a European Union-wide arrest warrant against him. The charges were extensive, including belonging to a criminal organization, extortion, drug trafficking, and involvement in brothels in Spain. However, arresting Niko proved to be a difficult task. Turkey, where he had established his new base of operations, does not extradite its citizens. This legal protection allowed Niko to continue his activities with relative impunity. It wasn't until June 2018 that Turkish authorities finally arrested him. Yet, even this arrest was short-lived. He was released from pre-trial detention in September 2018 due to a lack of evidence. Niko's legal troubles did not end there. On July 10, 2020, he was once again arrested in Turkey. This time, the charges were more severe, and the Turkish authorities appeared determined to bring him to justice. However, just 18 days later, he was released from pre-trial detention, once again due to insufficient evidence. These repeated cycles of arrest and release highlight the challenges that law enforcement faces in prosecuting high-profile criminals who operate across multiple jurisdictions. The lasting impact of Nakati Arabachi. Niko Arabachi's story is far from over. His ability to evade long-term imprisonment and continue his criminal activities despite multiple arrests is a testament to his cunning and resourcefulness. But beyond his personal saga, Niko's life raises broader questions about the nature of organized crime in the modern world. The Hells Angels, under leaders like Niko, have evolved from a rebellious motorcycle club into a sophisticated criminal organization with global reach. The activities they engage in, human trafficking, drug smuggling, extortion, are not confined to the shadows. They have significant social and economic impacts. Niko's operations in the red light districts of Germany, his involvement in the global drug trade, and his ability to navigate the complex legal landscape of multiple countries demonstrate the pervasive influence of organized crime in contemporary society. Moreover, Niko's story underscores the difficulties that law enforcement faces in combating such crime. Despite advances in surveillance, international cooperation, and legal frameworks, criminals like Niko continue to exploit loopholes, evade capture, and exert influence from afar. The repeated failures to convict and incarcerate Niko permanently illustrate the limitations of the justice system when dealing with highly organized and well-connected criminal enterprises. The enigma of Nakati Arabachi. As of the last reports, Nakati Arabachi remains a free man, his whereabouts and current activities largely unknown. His story is a chilling reminder of the power and reach of organized crime, as well as the challenges that society faces in confronting it. The life of Nakati Arabachi, from his humble beginnings in Cologne to his rise as a feared and respected leader of the Hells Angels, is a narrative steeped in violence, power struggles, and a relentless pursuit of dominance. Niko's tale is not just that of one man, but of a broader phenomenon that continues to affect societies worldwide. The Hells Angels, under leaders like him, are more than just a motorcycle club. They are a global criminal enterprise, and their story is far from over. As Niko's influence persists, so too does the threat posed by the organizations he helped build and maintain. His life is a stark illustration of the complexities and dangers of the criminal underworld, a world where power is the ultimate currency, and survival often depends on the willingness to cross any moral boundary.